This is Metrosource Minis, the official podcast of Metrosource Magazine and home of short-form interviews with your favorite personalities from the LGBTQ world and beyond. Quick, fun, and informative. It's Metrosource on the go. Out and proud since 1990. Out and proud since 1990, the year I was born. Cough, cough. This is Metrosource Minis. I'm your host, Alexander Rodriguez, lead writer for Metrosource, an avid podcaster. So hot topics in today's headlines are body positivity, ethnic representation, HIV awareness, where there's a group of superheroes actually doing all of that. And we're talking with their fearless leader today. Dizz is the founder of and lead songwriter, choreographer for Canadian music group rIVerse. rIVerse recently released their music video for BaeBeeBoo. Say that 3 times fast. Off their critically acclaimed sophomore album, Poison Ivy, a deeply personal and eclectic pop and R&B record that explores themes such as Black Lives Matter, systematic racism, body positivity, self-love, and more. He recently came out as HIV Positive in solidarity with National Black HIV AIDS Awareness Day and has since been using his platform to end the stigma around HIV and AIDS. Please welcome Dizz.
Hi.
Girl, you look so put together. The rest of us during COVID are like looking like, you know, like I won't say. And here you are, like a beacon of light.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay,
you look great too. Let's not get it twisted. That suit jacket is on point.
Girl, it's to hide the bags under my eyes. So, for starters, I've become obsessed with you when getting to know your group. I just have to know, how did you get this group of misfits together in the first place?
How did I bring these fools together? I'm kidding. So basically, I've been, it's always been a dream of mine to be a part of a group specifically when it comes to music. I've just been such a fan of various groups growing up, and it was always a goal of mine. So I started putting groups together when I was 14 years old. Wow. I've worked with many people along the way. It's been a journey trying to find the right people, but it wasn't until 2008 when all of us auditioned for a Toronto production of Disney's High School Musical 2. It was a live theater production where we all connected, and I essentially just handpicked all of them. And here we are today, 10 years later. I think over 10 years, almost 10 years later, yeah.
Wow. Now, was it love at first sight? Did you guys have some growing pains in starting to work together?
No, it was love at first sight, definitely. And obviously, as you progress and you're working together so closely, you become family throughout so many years. Like, of course, you're going to have your challenges, you're going to have your disagreements, you're going to have, those kind of rocky moments. But the reason why we work is because we have such a deep respect for one another and what each of us brings, and just really who we are as people. And so we go through our moments, but we always come out of it stronger just because of the love that we have for one another.
Well, and I have to say, looking at you guys and the personalities couldn't be more different from each other. Like, literally just could not, like, if I was casting a show, I couldn't cast more different people. But the sound you have is such a unified front. Mm-hmm. Creatively, how do you work towards combining everyone's unique personality with a cohesive product?
You know what it is? When I'm writing the songs, it is really, I hear them in my head. So I know exactly how to kind of marry the voices and marry the personalities into a structured song or a structured situation, just based on my knowledge of them and what their vocal stylings are, the tone of their voice and things like that. So I just know how to place it in a way that is going to sonically be pleasing for the listener.
Well, and in the group, everybody gets a highlight. There's really no room for ego. And that's what I really love about your group is that everybody's a star, but nobody's a star. Do you know what I mean? It's the group together that really sells it. But explain the name to me. So it has Roman numerals, rIVerse.
Yes.
Verse. That's not a word we often say in West Hollywood, verse. But so explain to me the structure of the name.
rIVerse. So initially, rIVerse, we spelt it the regular like dictionary spelling, REVERSE, and that spoke to the it speaks to the kind of again sonically what rIVerse brings. We're very much fans of music from past eras, particularly the 90s and early 2000s. So
Girl,
when you
past
listen
eras
to
to me is like Judy Garland in like 50s and 60s. Here you are talking about like, oh, the old days, 90s. Girl, please.
I mean, it's just the truth, right? So we definitely take those kind of elements, particularly with the vocal arrangements, the harmonies, what the groups like Destiny's Child or the Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, Drew Hill. There's a lot of groups that I used to study where their vocal arrangements, their harmonies really were a standout. So we'll take some of those elements from past eras and apply it to what we do today. So you always feel this kind of nostalgia when you listen to rIVerse. So it's like going in reverse and grabbing those elements, right? But we had broken up in 2016 for about a year. And once we decided to come back together, we went through a full rebrand. And so a part of that was the name as well. And management and different people that we used to work with would always tell us what makes the group special is the four of us. So we wanted to highlight that. So we swapped out the E and put in an I, and then we became rIVerse.
I love that so much. But let's go back and let's spill the tea a little bit. You know, we always talk about everybody's best foot forward, but we also should learn from each other's obstacles. So when you say that you guys broke up for a year, what was the decision to break up? How was that year separate? And then how did you guys kind of come back together?
Yeah, so we had broken up. Really, it was a result of we were working with management, and once rIVerse, the group, decided that we wanted to go for it all. We really were going to uproot and move to LA. Like we were going for gold.
Oh, please.
Yeah.
I want to hang out with you guys.
It's going to happen. Trust. It's going to happen. As soon as this pandemic situation is, but so we ended up, when we decided to make those choices, we were making some big decisions to really kind of maximize the situation. The people that we were working with, we feel that they got a little bit fearful. And so they started to project their own fears and insecurities onto us. And a lot of the things that, the reasons why they came in the first place, they loved the fact that we were this unconventional type of pop R&B group. They loved the image, they loved everything about it. But then that changed once the fear set in. And so they started to kind of nitpick about different members and just kind of like there was a breaking down of the trust and the vision and things like that. And a lot of those, when people are in your ear and telling you that you're not good enough, or that this person should not be in the group, or this person's a star, and this, it starts to mess with your head. And it started to really mess with the foundation that is rIVerse, the four of us. And we started to like not trust each other as much. And so long story short, it just really broke down our foundation. And it became so toxic to the point where we all four of us needed a separation to just not be in that energy anymore. And so long story short, we decided that we were going to split. And in the year that we were broken up, myself and Khadijah, one of the other band members, we decided to continue working together. And so we started working in another group. We just wanted to keep going. We wanted to keep working, and we did that. But then at different points in time, Monroe would call and be like, "Are we sure that we're broken up? I think we're gonna get back together." And I'd be like, we've already started a new project. And she'd be like, "It's not over. Mark my words." And I was like, "Okay." And she was right. But yeah, at different points in time, we had all kind of contacted each other and just kind of like really were like, is this really over? And so towards the end of the year, I believe it was, I really, it sounds corny, but I had like this epiphany. Like I was with a friend of mine, and they were playing the Glad to Meet You album, rIVerse's first album. And I was just like laying on a bed and just kind of like chilling out. And the sun was beaming in my eyes, and the music was playing. And I was like, this is so good. I have to put this group back together. We have unfinished business. And so it was this puzzle piece type of situation where I had to let the guy that we were working with in the other group know that we were going to stop. I had to talk to Khadijah and find out if she was willing to leave the group that we just put together and go back to rIVerse. I had to then talk to Zach and Monroe and see if they were still ready and willing to come back to rIVerse. So it was a complicated situation, but here we are in 2021, and yeah, needless to say, it worked out.
Well, I'm glad you shared that because, sometimes even in our relationships, even our family relationships, sometimes we do have to take a step back, kind of refresh, and come to it confident. You guys put on a good show. Like watching your music videos is so fun, but
Thank
there's
you.
also this intimacy that you can't fake that kind of confidence. You can't fake that chemistry because it's going to come through. So if you
Yeah.
guys were not feeling it, then you weren't feeling it.
Yeah.
And the fact that you waited for it to be right, I mean, you can, the chemistry is just palpable and it's just infectious. And it's
Thank
so great to
you.
see. So I'm really glad that you shared that kind of challenge because, artists go through these kinds of ups and downs. And
Mhm.
it's important to take a break and not just do something because you think that you should, but until it feels right. So I want to know, you made a really bold move by coming out as HIV positive. I can't explain it. Why are gay men still so afraid to talk about HIV and AIDS? Like it's in our community. What's the issue?
Yeah. I can only speak based on my experience and maybe kind of like what my journey has been in that space. I feel like it's just based on the knowledge that we received early on when HIV AIDS came into the picture, kind of on that big news scale. It was just it was loaded with a lot of darkness and fear. Like people were dying, and there's just a an idea of destruction. Like your life will be over. Like you are over, your life is over, you will lose your life. Like so I feel like the reason why people are hesitant or fearful of speaking about it is because you don't want to be associated with something that's connected to the idea of some of the darkest things, right? You don't want to have that heaviness placed on you, and there's an idea that comes with that because it's connected to sex. um I think it's such a deep rooted issue. There's religion involved. There's people's ideologies. There's so much heaviness in that conversation, and the idea that you are dirty or you are just broken when it comes to speaking about HIV AIDS. And so I can understand why there is that fear, there's that stigma. But it's one of those things. I know for me personally, when I received my diagnosis in September 14th of 2020, my initial default was all of the things that people who are not educated about HIV. I was that guy as well. I was very fearful. I literally was like, my life is over, and I felt very much like who I was at that time. I died. Like the man that I was September 13th, 2020 is a very different person than the one that received the diagnosis on the 14th. And um, it wasn't, it was only because of the interactions that I received literally within the week of receiving my diagnosis that really immediately shifted my frame of mind and my viewpoint, on this situation, and really just kind of like beginning the actual steps on educating myself about what is this thing that's now in my life. I realized that it is very much not what I grew up believing, which I'm very grateful and thankful for.
There's a whole younger generation that obviously was not around for the AIDS epidemic. And COVID obviously is not on the same scale, but we
Mhm.
saw people around us getting sick. We saw people around us dying. We saw misinformation from the government. We saw so many, fake facts out there. And it kind of was a remembrance of where our community has come from.
Mhm.
And it's about education and it's about communication. And I think the more representation we see on shows like Pose, we're seeing some of these stories being told in a
Yeah,
conversational way, and people should be having this conversation. Um,
100%.
the younger generation thinks, oh, well, I can just pop a pill and then it's fine. There's many aspects to being HIV positive. Now,
Yeah.
you kind of had a dual coming out because you came out as a gay man, and then you
Mhm.
had to come out as HIV positive.
Yeah.
So you kind of had like a double coming out. What
Yeah.
was coming out the second time like to your family?
Oh wow. So my I don't think my family knows. I mean, there's
Oh,
been
wow.
some press about it, but so going back to when I came out at 14, when I let my family know that I was gay, most of my family basically abandoned me. I am not in communication with really anybody in my family other than my mother. And at one point, even my mother, I wasn't speaking with. But it was only what was it, like last year, that I really started to be in communication with my mother again. And there's just certain things. My peace and my joy I hold those in very high regard. And unfortunately, my mother's very she's very religious. She's very much about her religious journey, and so I choose to, in order for me to have a relationship with my mom, it has to come with certain boundaries. And so I don't speak to my mom about my personal life, as sad as that sounds, but I do want my mom to be in my life in some way, shape, or form. And I know that she wants me in her life. And so we kind of keep it at a certain surface level. She knows that I love her with all my heart, and I know that she loves me, but it has to be that way. And so my mom doesn't really know about these things. Yeah.
Does that must be hard because you're having so much success with the group, and you're putting a message out there, and you're being a role model for so many different people out there. So it must be really difficult that you can't share that with your own family.
You know what? It's so funny. In all honesty, it's not that difficult anymore. And again, simply because my joy and my peace they sit very high on my list, on my priorities. So that is more important to me. My happiness and being, yeah, like I said, being at peace with my life and with myself and with who I am. And I choose to surround myself with those who love and respect me for all of who I am. Gay, HIV positive, Black, dark skin, this, that, like all of that stuff. Like if you're gonna
Fabulous.
actually be in my life, it has to be all of that. And so my chosen family are that, and they all know, and I'm content with that.
I love that message because it really is putting importance on you and your life and what you're doing above the rest. And, RuPaul says it, if you don't love yourself, how can you love anybody else?
And I
And
get an
I
amen
mean,
up in here.
yeah, except for season 13, but we won't talk about that. But it's really a great message that you're sending out. I want to talk about what are some of the realities of dating as an HIV positive man. Like you said, your life has totally changed. How has that affected your dating life?
Well, I am with a partner of 2 years. So I'm not necessarily dating around, but the beautiful thing is he was the first person that I told. So him and I are in an open relationship. And
Oh, okay.
so
Work, girl.
basically, I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, it's open, but not really. Like we are very much we're basically monogamous, but we anyway, that's a whole other conversation. But when
Episode 2.
exactly, when I had received my diagnosis, he was the first person that I called, and his first response to me, I actually said to him, "Are you going to leave me?" In tears, in a Toronto subway station. And he was like, "Absolutely not, absolutely not." He was like, "I love you." He's like, "Please come to me now." So I went over to his place and saw him, and he just embraced me, and he saw that I was distraught and I was in tears. He's just like, "You're beautiful. I love you. Nothing's gonna change. We're gonna get through this together." So he was really the first kind of angel in my life, a gem that really shifted my energy. Like I was still very much going through the process of the grieving of what this situation was. However, with him, it was a light bulb. I was like, "Oh, wait a minute, I'm gonna be okay." So it was a beautiful thing.
Girl, your life is like a Lifetime movie. Like Beyonce's gonna play you in like the movie version of your life, like with the Toronto subway and like the phone call. Like I just see it all, and she's gonna have like a single about it. All right, so tell me about the latest release, Poison Ivy.
Yeah.
You have said that the album is all about truth. What does that mean?
So rIVerse's first album, Glad to Meet You 2.0, available on Spotify and all streaming platforms. The first album was very like us discovering ourselves, and we knew that what we wanted to do coming out the gate was to have a good time. So the music was very very feel good, and has a very kind of like 90s pop, in some cases a little bit of a bubblegum feel. So we were
It's
very
very
much like
fresh.
the bubblegum kids, yeah, having a great time. And that album was actually recorded in 20. We started the process in 2012. We released the album in 2014. So Poison Ivy was released just at the end of last year, literally December 31st, 2020. We released the album. So it was many, many years in between. So in terms of Poison Ivy now, the journey of that album is very much, we decided to really take another approach with this album. Through all those years, there was so much that we had gone through, both individually and as a group. And once we got back together, it was like, hey, girl, like we're grown. Like it's time for us to talk about some real things. And we were ready to just be open and vulnerable and just kind of like put ourselves fully into the music. So when we talk about Poison Ivy being an album of truth, it literally is our stories. My story, the stories of Zach, Khadijah, and Monroe that we would discuss when we would be on the road going to a show or anything where we were together. We would always be talking. We always talk about what each other is going through. And so I would just like grab onto certain little tidbits and say, I'm going to put that in a song. I'm going to write her story in this song, or I'm going to create the story around his story. And that's pretty much what it is. So it's literally our truth in the songs.
Walk me through a rehearsal night. Like, you guys are getting together. Is it like coffee and donuts first? Do you get in a circle and like light a candle? Like, what's a rehearsal like?
Rehearsals? Okay. So usually, so I'll talk to you about the rehearsals that we're doing right now, because we have a virtual concert, the Poison Ivy virtual concert that's going to be premiering May 29th, 2021. We are so excited about it. We're in rehearsals right now. And so basically, I usually get a ride from Zach. Zach comes and picks me up in his BMW. We drive up to the rehearsal.
Oh, he fancy.
Huh?
He fancy.
Yeah, he's a fancy bitch. Yeah, he's that girl. He's that girl. So he'll pick me up. We listen to like tons of like 90s tunes or like music that really gets us excited. Like the last rehearsal, we were listening to like Britney and NSYNC and Backstreet Boys and Eternal. Like we were like just having a great time. And so we drive out to rehearsal and get amped from listening to music that we love. And then we go up there and we just get right to work. Like we start, get our workout and our stretching and everything like that, our warm up. And dancers will come in, we'll say hi, we'll have a little kiki. And then the choreographer comes in and we get right to work. Like we just start sweating from within the first hour of rehearsal.
So who kind of has to be the bad cop if somebody's not hitting their notes, if somebody's just not giving it? Like, is that you that kind of has to be like, okay?
You know what? That used to be mostly me, because rIVerse in our early years, it was very much just the four of us. Like we've been so blessed now to have a lot of people who really believe in the project, who have come on board and like really are like, I believe in this. I'm going to invest my time and energy and my talents into building this and making it as great as it can. But very much in the beginning, I was choreographing all the routines. And just kind of really spearheading the ship. And as we went on throughout the years, like other rIVerse members would start to like take a bit of more of a role when it comes to your question there. So Khadijah is one who would really kind of come in and clean up the routine. So once I'd create the routine, next rehearsal, she'd be the one to actually clean it and make sure that everybody's doing what they need to do. Nowadays, we have a fantastic choreographer named Leon Blackwood, who has worked with some of the biggest names out there, who's been really the one to do that for us. But even with that, rIVerse still, we're such perfectionists. So Khadijah will still come in and do the cleanups with the choreography. Monroe will definitely make notes on vocals. So if we're singing, and she'll tell you, make sure you're breathing properly, maybe place your voice here. And so we chime in here and there to really make sure that all of us are on point.
Now, what do you want people to walk away from listening to Poison Ivy? What do you want them to walk away with the most?
We want people to walk away with, after listening to Poison Ivy, knowing that, again, your truth and authenticity are your greatest weapons. Like those are superpowers. If you can just be willing to be vulnerable and open, and share your truth, that is where you will be able to make the deepest and most profound connections with other human beings. So we really want people to take strength in knowing that your truth, your individual truth, whatever that may be, are your greatest assets.
I have to tell you, I wrote the article from metrosource.com, and the first word that sprang to me was a superhero. So it's funny that you say your superpower, because I was like, these are modern day superheroes. Like, this is your superpower. And it was like, oh, I loved writing the article because it was just so fun. You just have to press play in one of your music videos, and whoever you are, you're just sold in the first seconds of listening.
Thank you so much. And now, Alex, honestly, I just really quick, that article was beautiful. Like, it literally had us tearing up. Like, we sometimes go back and reread the art, that one in particular, just to kind of hear your perspective on the situation. It was very encouraging, and thank you so much for that wonderful article.
Well, it was an honor to get to know you guys better, and chat with you. So how is Dizz the person most different from Dizz on camera?
Honestly, and
what you see is what you get.
I'm the same. That's one thing that rIVerse we talk about often, or a lot of our fans will make comments about that. Like, they'll see us on our rIVerse React series on YouTube, or they'll see us on our Instagram stories, or they'll see us in very candid rehearsal videos, and they're like, you guys are the same. You're the same when you're on the couch doing those YouTube videos. You're the same as when we see you in those behind the scenes videos when you guys are working. Like, we very much are just ourselves. Like, and we are a lot. We can be a lot, and I know that I'm a lot, and it's like me times 4. Like, so it's very much who we are. We just are ourselves, really, all the time.
Well, and I said it before, it's a chemistry, and there's an intimacy there. Even though you guys are putting on a big show, there's an intimacy that you just can't fake that. And so I'm not surprised to hear that. Okay, this one's for social media. Yes. What is your Pride message this year to your fans?
What is our Pride message this year to our fans? Go out in the world and be unapologetically and fearlessly you. Because there is nobody else in this world that is you. You are unique, you are beautiful, you are worthy, you are valued, you are loved, and all of who you are is necessary and needed in this world.
I love your message. I love your energy. I just love you guys. You can't get to LA sooner. Like, we are going to hang out. I'm going to be front row clapping, front and center.
It's going to happen. I promise you.
All right. Tell our audience where you want them to find you and follow you.
You can find rIVerse on all social media platforms at rIVerse Live, rIVerse Live.
Oh, God, I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for chatting with me today. I could talk to you for hours, and we're going to do that open relationship as like a follow-up part.
Let's do it. I'm here. I'm open.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That has been my chat with Dizz from rIVerse. You can read my in-depth interview with the whole group at metrosource.com. And that's our episode. I'm your host, lead writer for Metrosource, Alexander Rodriguez. You can follow me on Instagram at Alexander's on Air. And until next time, stay true and do you, boo. That has been another Metrosource Mini. Like, share, and subscribe on your favorite podcast player, and check out the latest issue of Metrosource magazine on newsstands or online at metrosource.com. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram at Metrosource, and on Twitter at Metrosource Mag. Until next time, stay fabulous.